other day, my friend said, "Oh man, I want to come there," and I'm like, "Okay, bro, come on. What you waiting for?"
Yeah.
I can't afford it. Your phone is $2,000. I see you got Jordans on your feet. That's a couple $100. You got on Louis. Bro, what you got on right now? Just your attire is a couple trips. So we spend frivolously on things that don't matter.
Hello, my name is Ivy Prosper and I tell stories from Africa and the African diaspora. Today, I'm really excited to finally be talking to the owner of JerkSOUL. This rooftop restaurant is a fusion of soul food, Ghanaian food. You'll find some Caribbean influenced dishes here. I'm really excited because it's another example of someone coming from the diaspora and having a success story. Judah, I'm excited to finally be talking to you here and hearing your story about moving to Ghana.
Welcome.
Thank you. And I'm embarrassed to say that this is my first time here. I keep meaning to come, and every time I have plans to come, something happens and I'm not able to make it. He's been here 3 years now. 3 years. And I hear people have, positive things to say about what you're doing. Plus you founded the Diaspora Enrichment Awards, which has been a really great way of honoring members of the diaspora community when they come to Ghana and the impact that they're making. So well done on everything you're doing.
Well, thank you.
First of all, y'all gonna see that I have this delicious food here. I may take a bite or two. It is jerk chicken tacos. Yeah, jerk chicken tacos. So I'm excited to dive into this while we're having our conversation with some sugarcane juice. So I love that there's this fusion of food going on and everything, You're originally from Chicago and then moved to Ghana. So I want to know, why Ghana?
Why Ghana?
Yeah.
So JerkSOUL started in St. Louis, Missouri, right? And, doing very well in St. Louis. Our first 3 to 4 years, we quickly became a staple in the city. And after that, I really just started to think about what my next steps were. And before I even started in St. Louis, I came from the Virgin Islands.
Okay,
and so,
that's where you're originally from?
No, I'm originally from Chicago, but I used to live in the Virgin Islands before I opened up JerkSOUL.
Okay.
And so, ended up going through 2 Category 5 hurricanes in the islands.
That's scary.
It was mind-blowing. It was really it was a very interesting time.
I think it's more than interesting. It's like, I'm sure it was quite a bit of a life-altering experience.
Oh yeah, it was life-altering. It was life-threatening. And I just really saw the power of nature in that moment. But it actually swept me. The second one swept me back to the States. And after a couple years, I started to think, okay, what's next? But I didn't want to live in the middle of the ocean anymore. I was done with the hurricanes. I was like, you know what, that's it. At that time, I really just started to hear from the Most High, that we were coming to Africa, and so
it was a spiritual calling.
It's definitely a spiritual call, for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. I really didn't play a part in it. I know that a lot of brothers and sisters, always wanted to come back to the motherland and see how that is and everything. That really wasn't my story. But once it was put on my mind and put on my heart, it was a pulling, it was a tugging, it was an urge that I could not deny. And, when I really just started to go in that lane, I really just went all in. And 6 months later, I was in Ghana.
Did you have any history in your family of people talking about Africa, why it would come, because I meet people who talk about, their parents were pro-Black and activists and different things. So it was always in the back of their mind, even though it wasn't, something they were thinking about, and then
Sure.
later on they're like, oh, you know what, my parents were right. Were you ever in an environment where that was kind of
a
thing?
little bit, not really, but because most of my family, except my uncle Jamu, when he was younger, he used to come to Africa.
Which country? Do you
I
know?
think Nigeria.
Okay.
He used to come to Nigeria. And another fun fact is I've always had a West African name. Okay. So my family on my mother's side, they call me Ayo Baba Tunde, right? So for short, they just call me Tunde. And I didn't even.
That's Nigerian, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So I've always had a Nigerian name, So
Yeah.
of course, words have power, names have power. And so if I'm speaking over this little Chicago boy, Tunde, and Ayo Baba Tunde means return of the father. And so now I look back and, because of the questions that you asked me, were there any African influences early in my life? It was that. It was that. Yeah.
So once you accepted the calling and made the decision you were going to come to Ghana, what made you choose Ghana and not Nigeria or another country?
Well, you know what? Initially, when I started to do some research, I started to see that there was a lot of diaspora that was moving to the Gambia. And I was like, okay, people are moving to the Gambia. I don't know what's going on in the Gambia, but I'm doing some research. But a good friend of mine, Andrew, he said, hey, bro, you are a businessman. Ghana is developing. You should look at Ghana. So then I started to look at Ghana more specifically. And then I just felt like a bridge just kind of presented itself. You know what I mean? So making a transition from the States to Ghana just became easy.
Okay.
Yeah, it became super easy.
Okay. So once you arrived, this was your first time arriving in the country, right? Or you had been before?
No,
It was
I've
your
never
first
been.
time. Okay. So when you arrived, what was your initial feeling, and how did you decide that you were going to get into a restaurant business? Was it because
Sure.
you did it before, or was it because you recognized something in
Yeah.
need here?
You know what? Honestly, when I moved here to retire. I didn't come to Ghana to do another branch of my restaurant.
Okay.
I was already burnt out. St. Louis had kicked my butt. I'm talking about we were just so busy on a daily basis that I was wore out after 4 years. And so I just kind of felt like I needed some peace and some quiet. I got me a one-way ticket to Ghana. I shipped my dog out here, shipped myself out here. And my retirement only lasts 6 months. I moved to Cape Coast and I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything for 6 months, and that was great. But 6 months into my living in Cape Coast, I felt that strong divine unction that I was coming to Accra to open up JerkSOUL.
Wow. And so that 6 months you spent in Cape Coast, did you build a community of people? Like, did you know anybody who was living here already? Or
No, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anyone. I started to meet people instantly though. And so even today, those people are really good friends. They helped me to kind of navigate things here. They helped me to get certain permits that I needed to establish myself. And so once I got here, yes, the diaspora community and the Israelite community really started to show me some love. And it made my transition here seamless.
That's good. Talk about the Israelite community, because a lot of people don't really talk about the Israelite community in Ghana.
Yeah, well, there is a huge, bustling dynamic of diaspora, members of the diaspora that are here, and they know what their nationality is. One of the biggest things that the brothers and sisters in America, not just America, but all of the scattered diaspora, one thing that was taken away from us is our heritage. And just having that foundation of who you are, that bloodline. Many of us, if I were to walk down the streets of Chicago and ask a random person what your nationality is, they're gonna tell me one of two things. They're either gonna say black, which is just a color in a crayon box. It's not a nationality. Or they're gonna say African American. Well, America is a country, Africa is a continent, and it's separated by a big ocean. So how can you be from both places at once, right? And so in these days, what a lot of people think are the last days, in these days, we believe that the Most High is just waking up his people and letting them know who they are, who they belong to, and what their future is. And so there's many children of Israel that have made Ghana, not just Ghana, but they've made the motherland their home again after 400 years. Yeah.
And there's some people who, I mean, this might be controversial, but there's some people who will say, how is it that black people are Israelites? There's people who ask that question.
Sure. Yeah. So the proof is in the prophecies. And, many individuals, they read the Bible, they live their life by the Bible. And one of the things that is kind of peculiar is that in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, it talks about certain blessings and certain curses that would only surround a certain group of people. And if you look at certain curses, the Bible tells you who the children of Israel are. You'll be able to identify them because these curses will be on them even in the future. And so when you look through these curses, many of them really describe what the brothers and sisters went through as far as the transatlantic slave trade. Yes. Okay. So that's how we're able to match up who the real children of Israel are.
Thank you for explaining that, because I know people watching will probably have that question.
Sure.
So you've built your community, you made the decision to come to Accra based on the calling that you felt. So when you came here and you opened this place, how did things go? Because sometimes people talk about the challenges in doing business in Ghana. Did you face any challenges, or was it a smooth ride?
It was pretty smooth. It was pretty smooth. I didn't really have a lot of challenges.
That's good for you.
I didn't have a lot of challenges. You know what? The challenges that I faced were in the States. There's a lot of red tape that you got and hoops that you got to jump through, to do something, to open up something like this.
So was it easier? You think it was easier to do it here than
for sure.
there?
For sure, without a shadow of a doubt, it was way easier. I didn't have to do. I didn't have to jump through a lot of the same hoops that you got to jump through in the States. I'll say that. Of course, you got to do your due diligence. You got to cross your T's and dot your I's. You got to get the permits that you, of course, need to operate and stuff like that. But that's anywhere, right? That just comes along with doing business. But at the end of the day, I definitely felt like it was easier. The challenges that I have, though, would be introducing this food to this demographic of people, So even though there is a heavy Caribbean influence here in Ghana, this still is a newer taste.
Right, because the food they have a tradition of what they are used to eating.
Exactly.
The fufu, the banku, kontomire, the red, like there are some similarities, but there's distinctive differences of what they're used to eating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for instance, right here you have jerk chicken tacos, which is a fusion.
Yeah.
JerkSOUL is a fusion restaurant. So this is a fusion between Mexican food and Caribbean food.
Right.
Together.
I mean, I'm going to take a bite. I'm just been eyeing this. So what are some of the things that people have been responding to, on the menu, like Ghanaians? Because it's going to be a mixture of diaspora Ghanaians. What have the Ghanaians been responding to on your menu?
Of course. What's interesting is that since we are a fusion restaurant,
Sorry, this is good.
It's good?
It's good. It's good. Okay, go ahead.
So since it is a fusion restaurant, you know, I started to think, well, maybe I need to fuse some Caribbean with some Ghanaian. And so I kind of came up with a dish that we have that's probably one of our best sellers is our jerk jollof, right? Where we'll take a nice heaping bowl of jollof, and then we'll take some jerk chicken and some veggies, some onions and peppers, and stack it on top of the jollof, and the flavors just marry each other. It's like it was meant to be. You know what I mean? So that's probably one of my number one selling dishes. And even though, yes, I'm a member of the diaspora, and this is the largest African-American owned restaurant in the country, but my number one customers are the wonderful brothers and sisters of Ghana descent.
I'm sure they're really enjoying it because jerk jollof sounds good. I'm not usually a jollof person. I usually like wache.
Okay.
But jollof with jerk chicken, that sounds really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So how has it been with your location? Because you're outside of Accra. A lot of people, when they come here, travelers especially, they're used to staying kind of in the core center of the city, staying in like cantonments, Laboni, Osu. Do you get a lot of people venturing out?
Oh yeah, for sure. So, I mean, technically we're in Accra.
Yeah.
Technically.
Greater Accra.
Yeah, so
Greater Accra region.
it ends right at this toll booth. So we're like right on the edge. But yeah, you know what? People will travel for good food. I know I do. People will travel for good food. So, you know, no matter if they're in East Legon, no matter if they're in Osu, I get folks that, you know, order delivery to Osu, you know, 45 minutes away. You know, we also get a lot of tours as well. Of course, they are coming from the diaspora, and you know, a lot of people in the States, they know my story, and so they always let their tour guide know, like, hey, we got to make sure we go see that brother with that restaurant on top of that mall and on Yarafa. So every month we get a couple tour buses to come through, 40, 50 people, some less, some more. And I love it. I love to hear their stories on why they're touring Africa and where they're from and everything. I love that.
I can imagine.
It's been a big blessing.
Did you move here alone or you moved with families?
Me and my dog.
You mentioned you ship your dog, but I didn't know if other people came with you as well.
Just me and my pup.
How was your dog handling? Because sometimes animals get a little, you know, challenge adjusting to new environments.
New environment, new smells,
Yeah.
new, you know, new terrain. But she's good. She done had puppies, and
She came and found someone to have kids with.
Look, I haven't even had any children, and she done had children and everything. So she's adjusting fine. Yes.
Okay, that's good. So what are your, I mean, you talked about how easy it was for you, that it wasn't as complicated as you may have thought it would be. Because some people come here and they talk about how challenging and difficult it is coming to open businesses and do things in Ghana. But it's been opposite for you. What are your thoughts on the fact that there's a lot of Ghanaians who want to leave and go to America because they think it's easier there? What would you tell a Ghanaian about the experience there versus here, and if they should stay or if they should leave?
Yeah, I have that conversation all the time. Because no matter if I'm with a driver, if I'm in a Yango or Uber, or if it's one of my customers, I have that conversation all of the time, because I will get asked that same question. And, you know, I know that when folks kind of look on social media, they see a certain thing about the States and how it is. But, you know, I've lived a lot of different places on the earth. And I know America like the back of my hand. I've been in Ghana for some years. So I see the similarities, I see what's different, and I can definitely say for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that trying to make it, trying to survive in America is way tougher than trying to survive here. And the reason is not because of money, but it's because of the agenda of the government of America. You know, so I think that the brothers and sisters here, they don't understand that part. That's the part that they don't understand of what the brothers and sisters in the States have gone through and what they continue to go through, you know? And so that's when I start to be real with them. I start to keep it real with them. You know, I let them know just how violent it is there. You know, it's very peaceful here.
Yeah.
You know, there's people here that they've never seen the type of violence that I've seen. They couldn't even fathom it. But when I'm talking to someone and they're asking me, well, I want to go to America. Why shouldn't I go there? I can quickly go to my phone and show them. I can show them the 10-year-old children in America that have the biggest, newest guns.
That's so wild when I think about that. A
I
10-year-old.
can show them a whole high school full of kids, and they all got guns in their backpacks. I show them this. I'm like, look at this, you know. And so sometimes when I get to talking about the evils of America, some people here, they don't believe me, but I quickly whip out my phone and I just show them proof, you know. And so, because they wonder how come it's so many of us coming here.
They do. I hear those questions all the time.
You know, so I let them know that it's not because, you know, we believe that Ghana is just some utopia or something like that. No, it's because of the peace. You know what I mean? We don't have to worry about colonizers chasing us down in police cars. Somebody literally just got lynched in Mississippi a couple weeks ago.
What?
See, people think that the ills and evils of slavery ended.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
It never ended.
It didn't. It still happens. And I think because of social media, that is what makes us now see some of the things.
Yes.
Because like when I think back to 2020 when George Floyd was killed and it was on video and then the whole world was like talking about it and outraged, it was like, this kind of stuff happens, but it's just not caught on camera.
So George Floyd, right?
It's just caught on camera now.
That went around the world.
Yeah.
That's every day for us.
And that's so mind-blowing because I do hear about violence in America. I know violence exists in America. You know, it's easy to get guns in America. I've experienced having police around a car with guns pointed. I was with somebody who had a warrant for his arrest because of unpaid speeding tickets.
Traffic.
Speeding tickets. I was like, what?
Traffic tickets. And what happened? What did the police do?
He got dragged out of the car. And I was just like, I had this thing in my head.
Did they have their guns out?
Yes, they did. This was in Buffalo, New York. And I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna end up on the news. My mother's gonna see that I've been killed. I was like, oh my God. I was just like, I was so scared.
And you don't live in Buffalo, New York. You were there as a visitor, right? Now imagine us who live this nightmare every single day.
Yeah.
You know? So when you know what happens when the police, I'm a grown man. If the police pull me over, immediately I call my mother. Ma, the police pulled me over. I want you to see what's going on. All of us do that. All of us do it. It is terrorism at its finest. If you are Black, you live in America. So when we come over here, oh my God. I'm not worried about, people complain about silly stuff like the roads and the Wi-Fi or the lights might go out and stuff like that. I'm happy to be alive. I'm not worried about the roads. Sometimes I do worry about the roads. Sometimes. But when it comes down to important stuff, I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad I'm living. I don't have to worry about gunshots and ambulances and, police and all of that. People trying to kill you constantly. Your own people trying to kill you. I'm from Chicago. This is the murder capital.
Yeah.
Okay? Every year.
Every year. I've been hearing about it for probably 10 years now. And then they'll always they'll say how many people were killed over just a weekend. Sometimes it's
goodness.
A weekend?
Friday to Sunday.
Yeah. Because I grew up in Canada, and the number of murders that will happen sometimes in Chicago is the same number as a whole year over there.
Yeah.
And that's in one weekend.
Right. And so for somebody like me and for little kids that's from where I'm from, we're numb to that. That's nothing to us.
You see it all the time.
It's every day.
And
so yes, if I come here, I get to heal. I get to at least start to heal.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, that's one of the biggest reasons why a lot of us are leaving the land of our captivity and finally trying to find some kind of restoration.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like you've got it?
I'm definitely healing. I came here with a chip on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm. Which is understandable considering what you've gone through, right?
Exactly.
So you lived in Chicago your whole life before you moved to the islands.
Well, I've lived in America, different cities.
Okay.
In America my whole life before I moved to the islands.
Mm-hmm.
And so of course, all of the trauma that has been passed down generation to generation, you have it. It's inside of you. It's in your DNA. And so no matter where you go, that chip is right there on your shoulder. And what I've noticed over the last 3 years of me being here is that I'm becoming more kind, more patient. I'm becoming just more lenient, more merciful. Mm-hmm. And so I'm definitely changing, Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm glad I'm here.
It's been how many years now that you've been here?
3, almost 4. Coming up on 4 years.
So you came during the pandemic times when things were locked down in a lot of areas in the world. Mm-hmm. Did anybody caution you not to come to an African country? Because there was this whole narrative that it was going to be so bad in Africa. Did people caution you, don't go there, it's COVID time? Or everybody was kind of like, if you want to go, go?
No, nobody cautioned me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I already know that most things, especially the media, whatever they're saying about Africa, just believe the opposite. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of lying going on. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm grateful for people like you, outlets like yours, platforms like yours. So, because what this is doing is it's showing the brothers and sisters in the diaspora what true Africa looks like, versus the lies that we've been fed since we were kids, Mm-hmm. And so I need to find out truth myself. I can't listen to what nobody else says. And people that know me, they know that about me. They know they can't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Even if they wanted to say something negative, they just keep it to themselves because I won't listen.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who has to go and have 10 toes down on the land. I need to see everything for myself and see what's really going on, And so, the truth will set you free. We feeling real free right about now.
You have any of your friends and family back home that have come here while you've been here?
I've had some friends that have come and visited, and now they come all the time. I've had some family members to come as well. And so, they love it. They love it. We just need more of the brothers and sisters to come and really just expand their horizons and to open up their minds, to experience new things, And the crazy thing about it is when you touch down here, yeah, there's a level of newness, but you also feel a level of home, like you're returned to something, you know, like you've been here before type stuff. So I love it. Every day that I wake up, I feel like I'm gonna have a new adventure. Every single day that I wake up, I'm like, all right, it's gonna be a new adventure here, you know, because I get to see stuff that I'm foreign to, you know. But it's good to be back.
Are you one of the people who got citizenship recently?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Tell me
yes.
about that experience.
Oh, it was awesome. I think I'm number 328. I'm not sure, but over 500 of us just got our citizenship over the last couple months, and it's just a beautiful thing to be able to really be the first person in your family to have dual citizenship, you know? So when we say stuff like we are our ancestors' wildest dreams, man, that is true. It's so true. There's brothers and sisters who their dream was to be able to do what we're doing, you know? And so for us to get our citizenship, that's huge, you know? So what we're trying to do now is really just to come together as a unit, as a family, and really collaborate with each other and really just help each other out. You know, we're trying to move away from all of the individualism that we were taught back in the States. You know, the colonizers, they put us against each other, you know? And so there's a lot of back and forth competition with us in the States.
There's a lot of like division.
A ton of division. And so we don't want to operate that same way here. You know, we want to be able to just to link up with each other, just like all of the other nations do, all of the other nationalities. They all believe in group economics. They all help each other. I don't care if you're Mexican, if you're Jewish, if you're Asian, they all help each other. And before you know it, a little bit of time goes by, everybody has a business.
Yeah, or a property, something.
Yeah. And so we have to start to shake off a lot of the stuff that we've been plagued with in America and really just start to unify. You know, that's the best word. We have to unify. Not only does the diaspora have to unify with each other, but now that we're here, we have to unify with our long lost cousins, the Ghanaians, you know? And of course, that takes a little bit of time. There's a learning curve. I've been gone away for 400 years. I come back, everything's just not gonna be hunky-dory. You know, we're gonna have to relearn each other. And that's what's happening.
It's true, because one of the things that people don't think about too is while people from here were taken in the transatlantic slave trade or trafficking and ended up there, they went through their own traumas. And the people who were here got colonized, you know, whether it was by the British or the French or the Portuguese or the Dutch, like in South Africa, they got colonized and had their mindsets also shifted too, based on, you know, the education systems, the way they were treated, because even they were treated as second-class citizens. So my mom once told me about how, you know, when she was young, that there were places where, you know, the Ghanaians weren't supposed to go. And it was like the British who go there. And even I learned recently that the polo grounds, well, where the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial is now, it used to be polo grounds that only the whites were allowed to be there. Ghanaians were not allowed to be there. And that is a large part of why Kwame Nkrumah chose to do his speech in that place when the country became independent, because that was a place that they as Ghanaians weren't even allowed to go in their own country. So it's like there's a lot of shifting that happened here while stuff happened there, traumas happened. So there's traumas on both sides. So when they're coming together now, you're right, it's the relearning each other, trying to understand where you're coming from, you understand where I'm coming from, and trying to come together. Yeah, which, I mean, it's not
it's not super easy to do.
Definitely not.
You know, it's not hard, but it's not easy as well. You know, I believe that we've been welcomed with open arms by the brothers and sisters here. They just don't understand what we've been through. You know, I mean, you can literally go and see the slave dungeons here, but they don't know what happened to the people after these people left the shores, you know? And that is, I believe that's something that's very, very important. You know, they should know what happened. And the information is there, you know, the information is there in Google and everything. But you know, I think one of the best ways for the brothers and sisters here to learn about what we've been through is conversations like this, you know, when they can maybe sit down with somebody like myself, and I'm very educated on that, and I can tell you and show you everything that we've been through over these 400 years, you know, and even still today.
So now you're here and you've built a successful business so far. What is your long-term vision? Do you plan on having other locations, or you want to grow this one to be like the go-to place?
Yeah, both. I want to grow, so this is the flagship. So of course I want to grow the flagship to see it come to its full potential. I want to see it bloom into its maximum fruition. But of course, you know, I want to open up other locations as well. You know, everybody that's, you know, in the central part of Accra, they're like, oh, you need a location around here. So, you know, it's coming.
But it's also good to have a go-to destination that people come to.
That's
you know, everything doesn't have to be over there.
Right. You know what? Because of that, I believe that I have some distinction. You know, there's a difference because we are on the outskirts. You know, so sometimes you might want to leave the clutter, branch out, you know, another 20 minutes out of your way. And come in, you know, have the serene view of the mountains.
Yeah.
I probably have one of the best views of any restaurant in Accra. And so I kind of like being outside of the noise.
You know where I would like to see you have a location?
Where?
Tema. Nobody wants to come to Tema.
I might come to Tema.
Yeah, I mean, there's a growing population there because I know it's expanding into Community 25. There's a lot of diaspora who, you know, move out that way because it's easier for them to get properties, less expensive than in the core of the city. Or even on the Sakamuno side of Tema, because that area is getting close to where Spintex is. So people from Accra don't look at it so much like Tema, even though it is Tema. There's not as many options out there. So it would be great to have something like JerkSOUL.
I'm hearing Tema, I'm hearing Kumasi.
Oh yeah, Kumasi's a good
My
idea.
people in Cape Coast, they mad at me for coming to
Yeah, because you were there before you left.
Yes, they like.
I can see them being upset. I can see that. Yeah, but Kumasi's not a bad idea too, because they don't have a lot of fusion style restaurants. It's going to be all like local. So I think that is a good idea.
Kumasi?
Yeah, I do think. As long as you can build a good team, I think it's a good idea.
Well, I'm gonna definitely look into it.
Yeah, I think so. Are there any things that you want to tell somebody who might be watching and they're thinking about, you know, maybe I should go to Ghana, but they're not so sure, because I think that there's a lot of people who still are like trapped.
Yes.
And there's something still holding them back with taking the leap. What would you say to someone like that who's thinking about coming to the continent?
Yeah. You know what happens? A lot of times we can talk ourselves out of something that we should be doing. You know, anyone who is contemplating coming to Africa as a whole, I would say, just like Nike, just do it. You know, just do it. It's definitely not something that you're going to regret. I really wish that I made this trip when I was younger. And the reason why is because I know that I probably wouldn't even have went through a lot of the detrimental things that happened in my life. I probably wouldn't even went through those things because my mind would have been so broad that certain situations I would not have had to have been involved in. And so that's why I really advocate for young people to come here. Young people and older people.
Yeah.
Why? Because the older people, you know, they may be set in a certain way, but there's certain walls that need to get torn down. And how you tear those walls down is you can take a trip. You can take a trip to learn the truth about something. And a lot of walls get to falling down, and you really, and that's when the expansion of your mind happens. Like, okay, I was lied to about this. Now I know the truth, young or old. So I'm starting to see, and this is such a blessing, I'm starting to see younger people in their 20s and their teens coming over here, having a great time, really starting to connect what they see here on the land with history, what they've learned in history. And so, young or old, I would definitely recommend getting that plane ticket. And then I hear people, other day, my friend said, oh man, I wanna come there. And I'm like, okay, bro, come on. What you waiting for?
Yeah.
I can't afford it. Your phone is $2,000. I see you got Jordans on your feet. That's a couple $100. You got on Louis, bro, what you got on right now, just your attire, is a couple trips. You know, so we spend frivolously on things that don't matter. Why not put $1,000 aside, take you a trip out here? You know, so we got to start thinking differently.
Yeah.
Although the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey was never allowed into Africa, many Pan-Africanists of the Garvey movement found themselves back home.
What made you decide to do the Diaspora Enrichment Awards? So you have this award ceremony. You launched it last year.
Yeah.
And then this year was the second one. What made you decide to launch that?
Well, the reason I decided to produce the Diaspora Enrichment Awards is simply because it's not easy for the diaspora to make the move to even come and visit here, let alone living here, let alone establishing a business here. Now, I'm one of those members of the diaspora who understands that it's not easy. It's pretty thankless. And you don't get a lot of support. You know, 9 times out of 10, your family's not here, your friends are not here. And so a lot of us are individually opening up business or individually establishing a non-for-profit to help out with the communities here. And a lot of times it's just thankless. And so I know that, I understand that. I'm one of them. And so I just was like, you know what? I see the efforts that they're putting in. I see the work that they're putting in. And sometimes you need that pat on the back. Sometimes you need a battery in your back to keep going, you know? I mean, I'm a pretty self-motivated individual. I usually don't need anyone to motivate me. But sometimes I do need that, you know? So I was thinking, you know what? nobody else is gonna do it. Might as well be me. So I just came up with a way to honor these groups of people, and just to do it a little bit different this time. You know, most award ceremonies, you'll have a certain category, you might have 4 or 5 people in this category, and then one person wins. Well, you know, I believe that we're all winners, and so I didn't want to do it the normal way. I wanted to make it a way where I can honor all the people in every category. And so, even though that's expensive for me to do, but it's fulfilling because I get to honor these groups of people who they deserve for somebody to present them with their flowers.
Yeah.
You know, while they can still smell the flowers.
Yeah. And this year, Dr. Umar Johnson was
Yeah.
awarded at the ceremony. How did you
Yes.
get him to come? I know that he ended up getting citizenship and all that. Did you know that he was going to be getting citizenship before you had him awarded? Like, how do you choose the people? Is it you making the selections? Are people sending in nominations? Like, how does it work?
Yeah. So as far as Dr. Umar Johnson, shout out to Dr. Umar for coming through. He was our keynote speaker. And no, I actually did not know that he was getting citizenship. I found that out, I think the next day, because I think the next day he got citizenship.
Yeah.
I found that out a little bit later. But I used to run a magazine called Think Positive Magazine. And it was about highlighting the positive things that are going on in the Black community. And so I actually interviewed Dr. Umar for my magazine probably about 10, 15 years ago. And lo and behold, his number was still the same. You know, and so good friend of mine, Kennedy Johnson, she said, hey, you know, you should reach out to him and see if he can, you know, come to the awards. And so I did that, and he was more than welcome and more than pleased to address the family. And so, you know, he rocked the house. You know, he delivered a really, really on time message to us. It was just really on point. And what we do as far as gaining nominations, and so what my team does is we just go online and we solicit nominations from people, you know, to you know, people that the masses think are doing a great job in pursuing excellence in whatever field that they're in here in Ghana. No matter if it's tourism, culinary arts, agriculture, technology, science, health, no matter what that category is, our team solicits nominations. And so then when we get the nominations, we do our homework. We just look into the backgrounds of each and every one of these individuals to find out exactly what they're doing, how they're doing it, how long they're doing it, where they're from, if they're getting positive results from their efforts. And so we kind of take it from there.
Good, good. Congratulations on doing that. Because I know that all the people who were awarded, everybody was so happy. Like when you see the pictures, when people speak, like everyone.
It was awesome.
Was thrilled to be honored for what they do. Because some of them are people who've been in Ghana maybe a couple of years, and you know, they may be hitting some roadblocks and feel challenged. And so to be acknowledged for what they're doing was really a good and inspiring experience for them. So well done.
And that's what the whole premise is I mean, I've even had from last year, our first group of honorees, some of them are not in Ghana anymore.
They've left.
Some of them had to go back home, you know? And that's what we don't want. We want to be able to not only encourage a person to continue and to keep going, but we also need to be able to find ways to sit down with each other and, hey, how can I help you to stay in business? You know, what can our community do to band together to keep you going? You know, these are the conversations that the diaspora must start to have with each other, you know. And so I'm just trying to do my part, not only with JerkSOUL, but also with the Diaspora Enrichment Awards. I'm just trying to do my part as far as helping the brothers and sisters stay encouraged, and to keep fighting, to keep going. You know, it's a daily thing. You know, Nipsey Hussle once said that, you know, this life is a marathon. You know, it's not a sprint. And so the marathon continues.
And you're doing well with it.
Thank you.
You do 5, 10, 15, 20, 100 marathons.
Oh man. Yeah. It's this race is not an easy one to run.
No, it's
know.
not. That's one thing I like to tell people. When you come to Ghana, it's not this, I mean, and you said the word a utopia. It's not this place where you just come and everything's like kumbaya, like, oh yes, everything is great. I'm in Africa, I'm in Ghana. Yes, you'll get that warm and fuzzy feeling, but then reality sets in that this is still a place where you still have to hustle, you still have to bust your butt getting the work done. To be successful, you have to be willing to integrate, you have to be willing to network with people, be willing to have conversations, be willing to adjust, because you are in a new environment. You can't expect everything to be the same way it was where you came from. So being willing to adjust, being willing to learn and grow, I think are keys to success.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are the keys to your success? What tips would you give somebody to be successful in Ghana?
Yes. I would say the key to success is preparedness. You know, one of my mentors always told me that the door to success swings on 2 hinges: preparedness and opportunity. You know, so the opportunity is gonna come. We don't know when, but you might have an opportunity in 5 minutes, you might have an opportunity in 5 years, but being prepared for when that opportunity happens, that's when the door of success swings open, you know? And so one of the things that I teach my staff is what we call in Chicago, the 5 Ps.
What are the 5 Ps?
The 5 Ps are proper preparation prevents poor performance. Okay? Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you are extremely prepared, no matter what your business is, no matter what your talent is, your expertise, if you are prepared, you are going to perform extremely well when the opportunity presents itself. And so if you perform well when the opportunity presents itself, that's success.
Perfect. I want to remember that, the 5 Ps.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for introducing me to this. This is so good.
How's the taco?
It's really good. I had to like slow down because I know we're talking and everything, but it's really, really good. The food is great. I'm sure everything else on the menu is excellent. This has been a really great time having this conversation with you and just hearing your story, your journey here in Ghana. I know we've crossed paths a number of times at different events and activities. So I'm glad to finally sit down with you and have a conversation today.
Finally.
Yes. So thank you. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but more success, more abundance in everything that you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching. I appreciate you as well for watching this program. If you like this, don't forget to share it with people. Once again, my name is Ivy Prosper, telling stories from Africa and the African diaspora. See you next time.